Hi, Mark Donovan here from Falcon Imagery, and today I'm going to go over the topic of how to get your Certified Flight Instructor certificate. More specifically, what's involved in getting it, what are the requirements, how much is it going to cost, how much time is it going to take. Getting a Certified Flight Instructor certificate is an excellent way to build time while making some money, and it also gives you a much deeper understanding of an aircraft and flying. And the airlines really do prefer somebody that has a flight instructor certificate that's given a lot of hours in flight instruction, because it's those types of folks that really have gained some serious skills in operating an aircraft. So anyways, follow along in this lesson and learn what it takes to get your Certified Flight Instructor certificate. Okay, how to earn your Certified Flight Instructor certificate. We're going to go over just the top level topics we're going to cover. Basic eligibility requirements to become a CFI. What's the proficiency requirements for a CFI certificate? What kind of medical do you need? What FAA written test do you need to take? How long is the CFI practical exam? What is the best way to prepare for the CFI check ride? Generating CFI lesson plans. How long will it take to earn a CFI certificate? And how much ground flight training time should I expect? And lastly, how much is it going to cost me to get my CFI? All right, basic eligibility requirements to become a CFI. These requirements come out of Part 61.183. I'm going to just kind of run down them relatively quickly. You have to be 18 years of age. You have to read, speak, write, and understand English language. You have to hold either commercial pilot certificate or ATP certificate with the particular aircraft category and class rating that you're going for. It might be an airplane flight instructor, a helicopter flight instructor, etc. You also need to have an instrument rating. And again, you need to have it for the appropriate rating, single engine or multi-engine type category, etc. Continuing on with eligibility requirements, you need to have, of course, receive a logbook endorsement from an authorized instructor on the fundamentals of instructing, appropriate to the required knowledge test. You have to pass the knowledge test area for the fundamentals of flight unless the applicant has a flight instructor certificate already or ground instructor certificate issued under this part, or holds a teacher certificate issued by the state, county, city, or municipality that authorizes the person to teach at an educational level of 7th grade or higher, or is employed as a teacher at an accredited college or university. And then you also have to pass a knowledge test on the aeronautical knowledge information. For example, a flight instructor airplane, the FIA test is needed if you're going for a CFI for flying airplanes. And again, you need a logbook endorsement from an authorized instructor on the areas of operation listed of this part appropriate to the flight instructor rating sought. Continuing on with eligibility requirements, of course, you have to pass the practical test or check ride for the particular type of aircraft that you plan to get your flight instructor rating in. You can either do it in an aircraft or in some cases a flight simulator under a Part 142 operation. Also, in addition to all the other eligibility requirements, you are also going to have to get an endorsement that you've demonstrated the ability to teach and are proficient in stall awareness, spin entry, and spin recovery. Going on in requirements, you need to log at least 15 hours as piloting command in the category and class of aircraft that is appropriate to the flight instructor rating sought. So for example, if you were maybe a helicopter pilot at one point, but you also have an airplane pilot's license, commercial pilot's license, as long as you've got 15 hours in that particular category and class of aircraft, you could go for that instructor rating. And again, you have to comply with the appropriate sections of this part that apply to the flight instructor rating going after. In regards to proficiency requirements, there's a whole litany of them. Generally, a person who's applying flight instructor certificate must receive and log flight and ground training from an authorized instructor on the areas of operation listed in this section that apply to the flight instructor rating sought. And there's a whole set of areas of operations, as you can see here. I'll let you look at them at your convenience. You can freeze the page or the video to take a look at all the things that you need to have flight training in and be basically a master of. In regards to what kind of medical do you need? Well, good news is you only need to possess a Class 3 medical to take the CFI practical exam. And it actually gets even looser than that, actually, after you get your flight instructor certificate. After you obtain it, you can exercise your flight instructor certificate as a piloting command under just basic med, as long as you're flying in an aircraft that meets the basic med requirements. Also, you can continue to flight instruct even if you don't have a medical, but you can't count it as acting pick time. So you're going to have to be with somebody that might be a commercial pilot, for example, that already has their pick rating that's now wants to go for their flight instructor rating or certificate. What FAA written test do I need to take? Well, I already mentioned that. You need to take the fundamentals of flight, and you also need to take a flight instructor airplane or a particular category that you're pursuing for the aeronautical knowledge portion. And again, you need to take the practical test by an FAA DPE designated pilot examiner that's authorized to give initial applicant flight instructor exams. Not as always easy as you might think. The oral knowledge test will typically take 4 to 6 hours, but it could be longer. I've heard horror stories where it's taken all day. Check ride flights usually last about 2.5 hours. Your best way to prepare for the CFI check ride, get the FAA exams done right away. Don't hesitate. If you think you want to go for this certificate, start studying and take those FOI and FIA exams as soon as you can. Read the flight instructor for airplane category that you're going after, Airman Certificate Standards, cover to cover. This picture here is the airplane category flight instructor ACS that came out just this November 2023. Again, read it cover to cover. This should be your Bible or your tool for preparing for your lesson plans. And again, systematically generate these lesson plans in the order of the area of operations listed in the CFI ACS. If you buy pre-written lesson plans, modify them to your specific teaching style and expected student needs. Do not buy them and use them as is. You will never know all that you need to know to get through the oral exam if you just buy these lesson plans and try to wing it on the oral. You'll be gone in probably about 10 minutes. When it comes to generating your CFI lesson plans or modifying ones that you purchased, for all lessons, but particularly flight operations, go deep, not only in the knowledge areas, but also in actually performing the maneuvers, the skill sections. They may save your life because you can go back and look at what you put for specifically how to do the operations, and you can reference them later on during your flight instructor career. When developing the lesson plans for the flight maneuvers, make sure they address in this order what the maneuver is or objective, why we care about the maneuver, some type of introduction, how we actually do the maneuver, the development skill, expected instructor and student responsibilities, the ACS maneuver completion standards and tolerances, potential student questions, and lastly, common errors. How long to earn the CFI certificate? Well, that depends on you. It can be done in as little as 2 to 3 months. I've had students get it done in about 2 months if they're working at it full time. If working on it part-time, expect up to 6 months to typically take. Lesson plans have to be developed, rehearsed with victims, such as friends, neighbors, spouses, etc., and presented and tested on your flight instructor. CFI flight training requires next-level skills, so you're also going to have to think about flying from the right seat, learning to teach these maneuvers in the aircraft, not just do them, and learning new flight skills. For example, you're going to need to know a lot more stall types and demonstrate them, as well as the spin training that I mentioned earlier. How much ground flight training should you expect to have to do? For the ground, expect 10 to 20 hours of ground time with an authorized CFI that is eligible to train initial CFI candidates. You can't just use a regular CFI. They've got to meet the requirements to be eligible to teach initial applicants for flight instructor ratings. Nearly all ground lesson plans should be reviewed and practiced with your CFI to make sure you have no holes. So there's quite a bit more time put into this, sometimes much more ground than actual flight time, depending how proficient the student is with their flight experience. In regards to the flight time, expect somewhere between 10 and 20 hours with that authorized CFI that again is eligible to train initial CFI. And also expect to fly an additional 5 to 10 hours by yourself to polish your teaching skills and flight maneuvers. So again, about 10 to 20 hours you can anticipate for ground and about the same for flight. I've had students where it's been less than 10 hours for flight, but normally ground is to somewhere between 10 and 20. How much is it going to cost you to get your CFI certificate? That's the big question. Flight instruction cost estimates, and I'm just using some rough ballpark numbers, using, let's say, 15 hours of flight instruction with an instructor at the rate of $179 per hour for the plane, $75 for the instructor. You're looking at about $3,810. Additional solo time, giving yourself about 10 hours to go out and do some stuff on your own, another roughly $1,800. Ground instruction estimate, using 20 hours, you're looking at somewhere around $1,500. And again, all these figures are just estimates. Aircraft rental instructor rates are always increasing, and the student may require more or less flight and ground instruction time than I suggested above. There's other ancillary costs that you have to consider, and I don't know if there's such really ancillary, but I'm going to make sure we're aware of it. The FAA knowledge tests, as of this video, are about $175 per test, so you got 2 of them, $350. Your DP examiner cost is going to be about $1,800, could be even more, and it changes constantly, or I should say goes up constantly. The cost of the aircraft rental for 2-hour check ride, you're looking at somewhere $350 to $400. And books and study aids that you might want to budget, I'd suggest $250. So the total in-cost estimate that you need to budget for obtaining your CFI certificate, about $10,000. Materials to study, to help you to study for your CFI certificate. Again, go get that airplane flying handbook that you were using for some of your other ratings. You can download it from the FAA's website, buy it off Amazon or Sporties. There's a lot of stuff in here that will really be helpful as you prepare your lesson plans. The Pilot Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. You're going to be able to download this from the FAA's website as well. Both of these books you want to reference in your lesson plans. Going on, the Aviation Instructor's Handbook. Definitely want to get this. This is for preparing for the FOI exam. Again, you can get it for free from the FAA's website. And then a couple other books that could be helpful. The CFI Test Prep Handbook. Again, you can buy this like on Amazon or Sporties. Got a lot of good questions in there. It gives you kind of a Reader's Digest of all the major topics and then questions. And then the Flight Instructor's Oral Exam Study Guide. It has some value. I personally still think that the one-on-one CFI candidate with the flight instructor reviewing the lesson plans and challenging the candidate during those ground sessions is the best way to really make sure you're fully prepared. However, you can still get something out of this oral exam guide booklet. So there you have it. That's what's involved in getting a certified flight instructor certificate. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, and quite a bit of money. However, it's well worth it. It's a certificate that when you do get it, you can just about be guaranteed to get a job that pays at least something reasonable, as well as, more importantly, build that time in terms of flight time to work your way toward higher positions, such as the airlines or charter service or something to that effect. Anyways, hope you found this video useful. If you did, consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel so you get notified on my next video. And if you have any questions or comments regarding this video, just leave them below and I'll try to answer them as time permits.